Thank you very much. Excellencies, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you very much for associating Novartis to this distinguished event. In my presentation, I would like to briefly touch upon a few of the issues that a company like ours, that is a leading healthcare company with global presence, has to tackle. If I could have the next slide, please. We were born actually in 1996. We were barely 20 years old, coming from a merger. We were originally a conglomerate with presence in agrochemicals, industry chemicals, and pharmaceuticals. The beauty when you're not leading the industry, you don't have to ask yourself some questions because you have so-called benchmarks. You just look at what others are doing. The challenge starts as you, through your success, climb the ladder, that all of a sudden when you ask questions about what should we do, what do we consider the right thing to do, all of a sudden there are no longer benchmarks because you have become the one setting the benchmarks. And actually the ability to define what you want to stand for, what behaviors are the right ones, and these often go beyond the law. It's not just simply meeting the regulation, is a challenge in itself, and somewhere at its core is the element of integrity as a prerequisite for a well-functioning healthcare systems where physician and patient get access to the right treatment. If you can show me the next slide, please. Thank you. We have therefore embarked on a pretty ambitious program to increase transparency and continue our cultural transformation. What do I mean by transparency? In the US, by law, in Europe, by self-regulation, and in a few outside of Europe countries by our own judgment, we will describe and make available to the public all financial transactions that we execute with healthcare professionals. There will be no gray zone on what money is transferred rightfully to physicians that help us develop product, that conduct clinical trials. We think this is a necessary and useful partnership for the patients, and therefore we can lay it open and be transparent for society. It is interesting as we discuss this and want to roll this out in other geographies than Europe and the US, how we are hitting upon certain cultural understanding of transparency, but we have firmly decided to take the lead and do that. We've also decided to be stricter on our values and behaviors. We had 23, they were difficult to understand. We've reduced them to 6, and we've completely revamped the way we hire people, we develop people, we promote people, and we reward people, because we want the values and behavior to play an equal role than performance. We're no longer a company where the mantra is make your numbers and you will progress. Making your numbers is a prerequisite, but what will really distinguish you as a leader is living up to the values and behaviors. If I can have the next slide, you see them. The upper 3 are probably part of our legacy. It's hard to be in pharmaceuticals without innovation. It's hard to be in any business without quality. And of course, if you want to succeed sustainably, you need performance. We've added collaboration, courage, and integrity because they are very relevant in how you do business. But let me briefly illustrate the dilemma. When you become industry leader or are seen by others as industry leader, it is essentially primarily because of performance. It's the world of hard facts, market share, profit, turnover. And that requires a specific culture. However, when you discuss courage and integrity across the globe, when you confront what is the right thing to do, not where there is a uniform cultural heritage, but in markets where perhaps the norms have to emerge, where society is struggling to continue its path, it is a different culture. It is a culture where leaders in the company have to have the ability to discuss dilemmas, to share judgment, to be able to articulate what they personally think is the right thing to do. And I can tell you that to create a culture that marries both the hard world of facts as they are required to perform sustainably and this difficult world of personal conviction and judgment in face of dilemma is not a small piece and is taking quite some attention and energy to embed this across the organization in the way we hire, in the way we train our managers, and in the way we reward our people. Next slide, please. On my closing slide, and this will not surprise you for a for-profit organization, which we ultimately are and have to be in order to raise the funds for developing the drugs that will meet the unmet needs, we have anchored the values in the management processes. This is not just a glossy communication brochure. Every one of the 130,000 associates of Novartis worldwide is evaluated in mid-year and year-end discussion, both on achieving objectives and on living the values and behavior. And you will understand as we roll these out and have to conduct this assessment across the globe, how much work goes in making sure that everyone understands what we mean by integrity, and integrity doesn't become tainted or shaded depending on where we operate. I can proudly report to you that we have conducted at half-year 2015 the real-life pilot across the globe, and it went pretty well. The big struggle we had was actually the difficulty of giving somebody a rating in integrity that was either considered insufficient and the resistance to actually qualify courage and integrity above standards. So we're seeing a norming to the average. We will have to continue to further work hard at explaining to our associates and the management what good looks like, what very good looks like, so that people are rewarded and managed fairly. I think this is not a small piece. It is an important part of what we want to stand for. But I think if you have the chance that your customers, physicians across the world, trust your products such that you become one of the industry leader, you actually have no choice than to do the right thing. Thank you very much for your attention.